Blue Wings. A Fairy Tale Adventure. Written by Patricia Shrigley. Chapter 2. Happy listening. Ava was waiting for Annabelle, lips tight and eyes narrowed. It made her face look more wrinkled than it truly was. She shook her head at the mess Annabelle had made of herself and said, "We're going to get your gown regardless of how you look, my girl." Gripping Annabelle's arm, she started them marching. "But I'm hungry and thirsty and sore." "I fell down," Annabelle said, hoping for some sympathy, even though she knew she didn't deserve any. None was forthcoming. They kept marching, all the way to the busy center of the Pixie Bazaar. It was a confusion of hurrying bodies, selling and buying everything a pixie could possibly want. Her mother bypassed all the assorted kiosks, even the ones with savory roasted seeds and honey-drizzled berries. Annabelle's mouth watered, but she was destined to endure her empty stomach. No treats for her. They turned down a shadowed alleyway that angled away from the market. Something about the dark narrow passage radiated a clandestine air. "Where are we going?" Annabelle asked, inclined to whisper because it seemed the proper volume for such a place. "There is a secret new fashion in dresses, created especially for the prince's coronation. All the girls are choosing them and so will you, Annabelle." Ava finally stopped marching like an ant on a mission and said, "I want you to have a good time at the coronation, and you will have more chance of that if you are properly attired. It will help you to blend in, fit in." "I'll never fit in," Annabelle said. "A dress won't make that happen. I don't know why you care so much anyway. You're not even my real mother." The words sounded callous and not at all what Annabelle had intended to express. She knew that she deserved no lunchtime treats after her morning of truancy. She knew that her mother was trying to do right by her. Most of all, she knew that even though the pixie wasn't her true mother, she genuinely cared for Annabelle. Before Annabelle could explain that she hadn't meant the words the way they sounded, Ava stepped toward a recessed archway. Hidden in the shadows was a black door. It was clearly not the front door. Ava knocked thrice. It opened with a jerk. They stepped inside. It closed just as quickly behind them. The room was surprisingly big, yet still managed to be crowded with girls and mothers. Annabelle knew the girls, she had fought with all of them. The one she resented the most was dominating the scene. Delilac was all the things that Annabelle wasn't. Delilac was bubbly and confident, tall and smiley. She was perfect and flawless. Worst of all, she was nice to Annabelle all the time. Annabelle hated when people were nice to her, because she knew she didn't deserve it. It made her feel smaller and pettier than she actually was. She hung back until a flamboyant purple-gowned pixie clapped her hands for attention and invited her customers to settle on the rows of puffy cushions. They were quick to oblige. A raised platform was revealed, jutting into the room. As soon as the crowd was quiet, the proprietor said, "I am Yolanda, welcome to my shop." Such a marvelous turnout. Her black hair was teased into such a high hairdo, she could have easily hidden a nest of spiders inside it. Her voice was so gushing, it grated on Annabelle's ears and nerves. This morning's viewing was equally well attended, and I've sold almost all my stock. When a clamor of disappointment filled the air, she declared, "Fear not. Anyone ordering a gown this afternoon will be scheduled for a fitting, and the dress will be finished in time for the coronation. You have my promise. And now my assistants will model the show gowns." With a flourish, Yolanda swept back a curtain. A tall graceful pixie glided out onto the raised platform wearing one of the new creations. To Annabelle's eyes, it was the most morbid dress ever dreamed into existence. It was fashioned from butterfly wings, which were quite lovely when they were on a butterfly. On a pixie they looked gruesomely amputated. And hanging down like a cape at the back were the largest wings of all, as if the pixie who wore the dress was impersonating a fairy. Annabelle must have been the only girl who was sickened by the sight, all the others cried out in delight. Yolanda raised a hand for silence and began to talk about the dress. Blue. Butterfly wings come in so many shades of blue, and the draped skirt of this gown displays all of them. From the striped blue-purple of the blue-winged butterfly to the light silvery hue of the Sonoran blue. She gestured to those wings as she spoke and plucked gently at the sculpted hem. I have incorporated a dash of orange as contrast, found on the bottom wing of the lupine blue. It looks like a lovely lace edging, does it not? And for the fitted bodice, nothing would do but the Diana swallowtail, with such an intricate blend of blue and black. She beamed and curtsied when her audience clapped with enthusiasm. Only Annabelle and Ava did not add to the noise. Annabelle glanced at her mother to demand that they depart. The older woman was so pale, she looked ghostly. And sickly. Was it because of the unfortunate words Annabelle had spoken before they entered the shop? Annabelle thought it must be, and not wanting to upset her mother further, she held her tongue. She sat miserably on her cushion while the show continued. The second dress to be modeled was as yellow and bright as captured sunshine. Yolanda informed her audience that it was fashioned from the wings of the old world swallowtail, and the little yellow sulphur, and the gorgon copper, with some striped zebra longwing stitched in. The third dress was the strongly patterned orange and black of the monarch butterfly, combined with the yellow-orange of the great spangled fritillary, and the red-orange of the ruddy daggerwing. The fourth dress was a startling affair. Contrasting black and white patterns assaulted the eye, taken from the 88 butterfly, and the mimic, and the white admiral, and the Baltimore. As if to calm the eye again, the dress that followed was the greens of the forest. Annabelle recognized wings from the malachite butterfly and Scudder's willow sulphur, and the blue-eyed gree-wing. A smattering of iridescent blues mixed harmoniously with the green hues. A mainly white dress followed, fashioned from the wings of the great southern white, and the checkered white, and the veined white. It had an ethereal quality that made it seem unearthly, more of the sky than the earth, as butterflies truly are. The very last dress was made from brown wings. It might have been drab, except for the decorative colored stripes, and the spots that looked like eyes. Appalachian brown, buckeye and white peacock were the wings that Annabelle could identify. Color was not the only thing that changed about the dresses. Each gown had a different design, from tight and fitted to loose and draped. The skirt lengths varied from mini to all the way down to the ankles. But no matter how visually pretty the gowns, to Annabelle's eyes, they were hideous. After the last gown had been modeled, Yolanda announced that she would take orders and book fittings. There was a rush of bodies for the front of the room. Annabelle turned to her mother to ask where the wings came from. Ava's cushion was empty. Annabelle hadn't heard her leave. She stood up and scanned the room. She couldn't spot Ava anywhere. She must have slipped outside unnoticed. Since her mother wasn't there to stop her, or be upset by Annabelle's actions, she pushed her way to the front of the line and confronted Yolanda. "Where did you get the wings for those dresses?" she demanded. "Why, from old butterflies that have died naturally, of course," the woman answered, her eyes darting left and right faster than a pair of flies. "The wings don't look old and tattered. They look new and young," Annabelle said. "Come to think of it, when I was walking in the forest today, I can't remember seeing any pretty butterflies, and I usually see lots. You're catching them, aren't you? And murdering them to make dresses." She ended up shrieking in an unpleasant pitch. The pixie's face tightened into a pinched scowl. "You do have an imagination, Annabelle Blue, isn't it? Your reputation precedes you." "Of course I do not kill butterflies, the very idea. I merely collect wings. I have been doing so for months, ever since we pixies received our invitation to the fairy prince's coronation. Now, unless you are going to order a gown, step aside. Better yet, leave my shop." Annabelle had no intention of ordering a gown, or leaving. "You couldn't pay me to wear one of your beastly gowns. No one should wear them. They are wicked and disgusting." Lilac stepped closer, and touched her arm. Annabelle barely came up to her chin, and had to look up at the girl, which she hated. Annabelle, no one would kill butterflies for their wings, and you would look really pretty in the white dress. I'm thinking of the red one for myself, but with your golden hair and petite shape, you would look wonderful in the white, really sweet, she coaxed, as if they were friends. Why don't you try one on? About to shout at her, Annabelle hesitated when she had a better idea. Maybe I will, she said and ducked under the curtain, planning to examine the winged dresses up close. The modeling assistants were disrobing with care in privacy. You're not allowed back here, the nearest one said. I'm not staying long. Annabelle stepped up to the pixie wearing the white dress. The wings looked newborn. Perfect. They looked like they belonged on a butterfly. She touched the largest wings that draped down the back, and murmured, "Great Southern White." The powdery texture was soft against her hand. The wings were fragile and velvety, they felt brand spanking new. Yes. Aren't they the best dresses ever? The girl preened, mistaking Annabelle's scrutiny for admiration. Where do the wings come from? Annabelle asked. Butterflies, the girl said sarcastically. Is someone murdering butterflies for their wings? Is that why the butterflies are gone from the forest? Annabelle snapped, her tongue getting the better of her. The assistant wasn't stupid. She backed away, taking the dress with her. Of course not. Get out now or I'll call Yolanda to toss you out. Don't bother. I'm getting out of here. Annabelle thrust the curtain aside and made a beeline for the exit. Her mother was waiting outside, leaning against the wall of the building as if she needed the support. They are murdering butterflies, Annabelle hissed, before Ava could send her back inside to choose a dress. Her mother didn't even suggest it. In a quivery voice, she said, I had no idea that the dresses were made from wings. Let's go home. Ava gripped Annabelle's arm in winter-cold hands and started walking slowly. Aren't you feeling well? Annabelle asked. A bit ill. Help me home. Ava kept moving with slow and shaky steps. Annabelle felt as guilty as a murderer herself, since it was surely her fault that her mother was so upset. She helped Ava all the way home at a slug's pace and didn't see one single butterfly along the way.